there, and welcome to a new video on the Shiburu channel. Today we're going to make a fun slice and insert block. Before I'm ready for that, I first want to tell you about the block of the month that this block is part of. So let's first make some room for this block of the month project. So I am taking down the happy quilt that was up there. This is one of the quilts from my book Shiburu Happy Notes that I just released on the 1st of July, and we had a lovely celebration in the studio. So I had all the quilts from the book up, and well, now it's time to put my block of the month on the wall again. So this one has to find another place to stay. So let's put up the block of the month on the wall, and I'll tell you all about the slice and insert block that we're going to make. Here are all the blocks and the layout of the quilt for the block of the month that I've made so far. And it's starting to look like a lovely collection of blocks. So today I'm going to make slice and insert blocks. Those look like this and like this. Now I measured the size of the finished quilt and pointed out with pins where the top line and side line is roughly. Now I can start filling in all the blocks that I have, because I'm not working from one side to the other, but making blocks randomly all over the quilt. It's kind of a more difficult task to track where everything goes. So it's perfect to put this out on my design wall so that I have an overview of how far I am with this project. And also one of the reasons that I am putting this up on my main design wall, so I have two of those design walls, and the one in the back, well, I don't see that often because it's mostly covered with the front design wall. The reason that I'm putting this up here is because I had a little bit of overwhelm. After that I did an update about my previous whips. I noticed that there are so many whips in this stage, so the making stage, that because I like all of those projects so much, I had no clue where to start and what to work on. So I'm putting one project up on my design wall, and that will be the main focus for my sewing over the next month or two, or I don't know. I will just put it up here and hope that that motivates me to work on this. So time to put it all up on the board. There we go. It's not all lined out perfectly, but that's okay. It gives a great overview of how many blocks there are and what the quilt is going to look like. So you kind of see a color gradient starting to form, starting with the pink, then going to orange, yellow, green, teal, blue in the right corner there, right bottom corner. That's the word I was looking for. That is the idea of the quilt. So here we have the layout of the quilt, and maybe a good idea to start explaining about the project if you haven't seen it in any of my vlogs or work in progress updates. So this is a block of the month that we're doing with our Dutch Modern Quilt Guild, and this is a layout that you have for the quilt. There's also a smaller version, and all these numbers I put in randomly for the 12 months that we will be working on this. And every month you get a pattern designed by one of the members of the Dutch Modern Quilt Guild, and you can cut out those tiny squares to put on your layout, and you can color them in. So it's going to be a very fun personal quilt for everybody. Every quilt is going to be different because you can figure out the layout yourself. You just get instructions for the block in 3 sizes, in 3, 6 and 9 inch. Yeah, so it's a super fun project and I love it, but I'm running behind, so I want to catch up. Yeah, that is basically what I want to do. So I have now blocks from the first 3 months done and working on the 4th month, and that is slice and insert. And slice and insert, I think it's a very, very fun, what is it called? Improv block. So let's make one. Start with what you need to make a slice and insert block. Well, you need some pretty fabrics, of course. This is all Sassafras Lane fabric. The whole collection of different fabric lines from them. And everything I collected over the years, I am all putting it in this project. Little side note, that is also one of the reasons that I love this project, because I love the fabric so much. So that also is a drive for me to keep working on it, because when I put these fabrics out there, when I put the blocks on the wall, it just makes me super happy. So yeah, you need pretty fabrics. Besides that, there's not a lot more you need. You need a cutting mat, rotary cutter, and a ruler. A sewing machine, of course, and an iron. According to my layout, I need to make this tiny purple block. So that is going to be a white background with purple stripes on it. Small blocks in my quilt are 3 by 3 inch finished size, so 3.5 by 3.5 and finished. And you want to start with a square in your background. So for me that is a white. That is a little bit bigger than the finished size that you need. Let's see which one to pick. I think I'm going with these pluses. So from your background fabric you cut a square of a little bit bigger than 3.5 by 3.5. I'll go for 4 by 4. There we go, roughly 4 by 4. It doesn't have to be precise since it is an improv technique. So that means everything goes, everything is perfect. So this block starts with making a slice. And as you can see here, you make slices. This one also started as a white background. You make slices and then you put in strips. And there's a ton of possibilities. You can vary in the width of the strips, but you can also vary in if the strips are nice and straight or if they maybe go from small to wider. Yeah, you can play around with that, and you can also play around with what kind of strips you put in. Here I had a little scrap that was already pieced, and that I just put in this block. So yeah, playing around is what makes this fun. This one had 3 strips inserted and this one had 4. Also that you can make it as crazy as you want. So for this block I need to make it kind of the inverse of this. So it's going to be purple stripes, so that we have over here. Let's do this one, and then I think a contrasting stripe would be fun. Let's do a lime green for that. Yeah, I think this would make, oh yeah, there is a lime green also in here. Maybe I can play around with that. These will be my colors. So then you just take your ruler and chop somewhere. So this is my slice. Now we need the insert, and for that you find your fabric and cut a small slice. Whoop. There we go, a small slice, a small strip, and this will be inserted in here. There we have one side sewed together. I just sewed it together like this and then pressed it open. And then we need to add this piece to it. And since you've made the starter square a little bit bigger than the 3.5 inches that we needed, it's not a big problem if you sew it together like this, and then that's all fine. You don't need to have it perfectly aligned. But if you want to make it as aligned as possible, you can just place it and fold it over a little bit. At least that's how I do it. Eyeball if I'm about correct. Yeah, that looks good. So then I also don't pin with this, so I just leave it like this, take it to my sewing machine, and sew. That turned out pretty well. So you see those lines, that's not perfectly aligned, but it's no problem because we will chop it off anyway. As you can see, here is the 3.5 inch mark, so there I will be cutting. Yeah, that is all fine. So now I get to slice again. Where should we slice? Let's slice off a tiny corner here. There we go. And now we insert. I will go for the lime green and cut off. Oh, shall we make this thick or thin? I think a tiny insert would be fun. So let's make that a tiny insert. Yeah, that looks cute. And I cut a pretty long strip, so I could even do another corner at the other end. Now with adding a piece that already has a strip on it, you can pay more attention to where you sew it together, because when you sew it together like this, it will show more. I really don't mind. I don't mind if it gets wonky. These ones turned out pretty straight, but I don't pay too much attention. Like you see over here, this strip is not continuing over there. I don't mind. It's improv, it's all good. But if you want to eyeball it as good as you want, you don't want to line it up like this and then fold it over, because then it will be shifted about 1/4 inch. So what you want to do is either shift it about 1/4 inch and then fold it over, or you want to put it on top, so overlapping kind of 1/4 inch, and then flipping it like that. So yeah, not really solid techniques, I know, but just some tiny tips to get it more better outlined. So I will just shift it about 1/4 inch down and then fold it over, and then it should be kind of okay-ish. See, that turned out pretty well. So I have this. I can put this in a corner, but putting it all the way down here, I have the chance that it will be chopped off completely. So I think I will first put on a nice strip of this purplish fabric across, and then see if I will still need this one. Let's see, what size? Roughly until here, a little bit thicker, so I will go for 1¼ inch. There we go, that's a nice strip. And now to figure out where to put it. Do we just go all the way across? Oh, maybe this is fun. Yes, there we will place it. It's so lovely to do something that doesn't involve a lot of measuring. That looks good. Ta-da! I think my block is done like this. I like that the plus is the same color as this fabric. So now I'm going to cut it to 3.5 by 3.5, trying to keep as much purple in there as possible. So I think I will cut it like this instead of shifting it towards here. I think this is the most interesting block to cut. There we go. I will just first cut 2 sides and then turn it around. There, and then 3.5 by 3.5. Oh, that's done. I think that looks really good. And there it goes on the wall. That's another tiny block done for the block of the month. I hope you give this fun technique a try. I really enjoy it because it's so super quick. You can make it as small or as big as you want, and as complicated or as simple as you want. So there's a lot to play around with. A very fun improv technique for quilting. Thank you so much for joining in to this video, and then I'll see you again next week or the week after that with a new quilting video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon. Bye!